Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, and we are continuing the build of the Rocketarium Mega Rebel. Where I left off last time was I used CA glue to glue all the joints that are facing upwards towards you right now. So it is time to flip this thing over and continue the process on the downward. They're facing downwards now. Joints. So I'm going to do that. Again, this is going to take a decent amount of time, but should be worthwhile. Yeah, so not the most thrilling thing you could possibly be doing here. Do be careful. Like, I am making some bubbles apparently with my CA glue. Bubbles would be bad. A lot of them seem to be popping themselves, but every time I get one that doesn't immediately pop, and even when I do get them, it's a good idea to just go over it with the tip of the applicator here to make sure you don't have any that last. Because, of course, if you have a bubble, you have places where the glue didn't get. That would weaken the joint. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to happen all that often. All right, that's half of them done. Ouch. Now the other half, I'm going to go the other direction. Oops. Yeah, I didn't actually mean to knock the tube out there, but nothing's actually holding it in place. So I just want it, I want it in there, but I don't want it actually like doing anything if I can help it. Certainly don't want to glue it in place yet. The instructions are very clear about that. But I'd also like to keep it in there because I am going to attach it here quite shortly. One more face. I should be ready to go. Okay. All right, that's good. I want to make sure I didn't get any little drips because when I did the nose cone, there was a bit that dripped out, but I don't think that's going to be a problem because I was gluing quite flat this time and there's no real place for it to run. So that should be fine. All right, looks good. Okay, so the next part here says that if I wanted to paint this thing, I would want to remove the tube and paint the thing right now. But again, there's that big caution that if I paint it, I can't fly it with an Estes black powder motor. So I'm not going to do that. Plus, honestly, half the fun of this thing is that it's like a bare bones looking rocket. And if you make it not wood colored, maybe you lose something there. But of course, the choice is up to you. Just be aware that if you do paint it, you're going to have to use a composite motor. And maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you do. I don't know, but maybe you don't. All right, so moving on. Once the glue is dry, I want to push the tube upwards so that the aft end of the tube is still in disc 3. Well, it's in disc 3 now, but I assume I want it to be higher. I guess like that. It's not going to stay that way. Now I want to place the nose cone assembly in place so that the tubes are connected properly and push the nose cone assembly down until you have a 1/4-inch gap between the tabs of the nose cone assembly and disc 9 in the lower airframe. Okay, so here's the upper part. Unfortunately, there's the upper part. You're not really going to be able to see a lot of this. It's kind of unfortunate. All right. Okay, so the two tubes fit together, and I want them just kind of like sitting on top of each other like so. Maybe I'll bring that in a little bit better. Maybe you can see it now. Nope. All right, well, let's turn it on its side at least momentarily. Okay, so I have, this is where the nose cone comes apart right here. So I have these things together. They're in the right place. And notice the tubes are now on that connector, the blue part. We can look at that for a second and see. They fit together like so. All right. Anyway, it says again, push the nose cone assembly into place. Make sure the tubes are connected properly. That's having the blue coupler there properly in place. Push the nose cone assembly down until you have a 1/4 inch gap between the tabs of the nose cone assembly and disc 9 on the lower frame. So I actually want a little bit of space. I guess like this much space. That's about, that's about a 1/4 inch. Okay. And now I want to apply wood glue on the lower tube on top of discs 3, 4, and 9. And then I want to push the nose cone properly into place. And I guess I'm leaving that 1/4 inch so that things can move and the glue can spread out a little bit. Okay, so wood glue on top of the lower tube, or onto the lower tube on top of, okay, I think I understand what they're trying to tell me. I think what they want me to do is I want to put glue like right here, and then when I push it down, it's going to move the glue so that it's inside the gaps. All right, that more or less makes sense. Unfortunately, this is going to be on the trickier side because I'm going to have to get glue in there. This one shouldn't be too bad. This one's going to be, some of these are going to be a little bit more difficult than others. I think this might be a time to use a dowel or the super awesome applicator, which is to say the glorified Q-tip that came with the kit. I mean, I can probably get this in there, and I just don't really trust that. So, I'm gonna just brush this on as I would anything really with that I need a dowel to do. The trick here, of course, is that I really don't want to bump the location here. Ooh, I'm getting glue close to that, close to the hole there. I don't want that. I want to try not to bump separation here. Honestly, I mean, this is not going to be a particularly easy job. You know what? It would probably be easier. I think I'm going about this maybe not in the smartest possible way. I'm going to put glue on the tube, which is probably what the instructions actually said. Does it say? Yeah, it says put it on the tube. Yeah, I read it slightly differently as telling me that I wanted to put it on the wood part. I don't want to do that. That's not going to work. That actually I think I can do fairly easily with just like this. Yeah. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some glue on here, and I'm going to spin this part. I should be able to spin it without too much difficulty. I've already got some glue in there anyway. The only thing I want to do is make sure that I haven't pushed down so that I drive the tube into places it shouldn't be. Actually, now that I notice this, I can't just spin it because I'm not actually spinning the tube as much as I'd like to. So I'm going to have to rotate this. To pick it up and rotate it. That's fine. I can do that. But if I'm going to do it that way, I might as well apply glue. Ugh, boy. To all these sides all at once. And for those two, I need my dowel at least just to spread the glue out because I'm not doing a particularly good job of spreading things out. All right, rotate it 90 degrees. This I actually don't need to apply any more glue because there's a good amount. Here I've got a bit of a glop. So I'll spread that out a little bit. Same deal here. This is going to be a little time consuming. Not too bad. Okay, so this is third face. This has a surprising amount of glue on it. I guess I wasn't that bad at rotating that upper part, but it really didn't feel like anything was happening. Something might have been happening, but whatever was happening wasn't adequate. So I really did need to pick it up one way or the other. All right, last side. Actually, I'm going to try to just spread this. There's a decent amount of glue here. A little more. Okay. All right. And that's fine. All right, so I've placed glue everywhere. Now I need to quickly push the nose cone assembly down into place, pushing the motor assembly down into its place as well. And that should slide the glue down so that there's glue where it ought to be. And it says make sure the tabs of the nose assembly are inside disc 9 and there are no gaps between the nose cone and the main airframe. All right, so push. I want them snug, so I'm going to stand it up at this point, at least for a moment. Okay. All right. So hopefully that, yeah, I can see the glue is now on both sides, at least of this one. Yeah, seems all right. All right. I'm going to try to mop up any excess here. So I'm going to pick it up, just kind of spread the glue around. There's probably going to be a whole lot more glue on the top than on the underside, so I'm not going to worry about the underside. Plus, I can see that there are a couple spots where the glue probably went up the body tube a bit farther than I would like, which, I mean, it's not hurting anything, but it's making it kind of ugly. Down here seems to be a more pronounced problem of the glue being up the body tube. Most of the faces at this point. This bit is pretty small. It's kind of hard to mop that up with grown-up sized hands anyway. Okay. All right, that looks, I think, about as good as it's going to get. Anyway, it says make sure not to glue the tubes together. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Let the glue dry fully if needed. Gently sand it around the corners on the tabs of the nose cone pieces. I want to make sure that these go together nice and smoothly, which, yeah, they're fine. They work pretty nicely. All right. So, kind of surprisingly, it doesn't look like I need to add fillets or any other kind of reinforcement to this, although honestly, I'm not sure how great I feel about that. Yeah, if that's what the instructions say. They've built this before, they probably know it better than I do. But it just, I don't know, it kind of feels like something that ought to be done. I'm going to just quickly, there are a couple places that I can see on the upper side here that could, the glue's puddled a little bit more than others, so it's like, it's a place where I could spread the glue out to make a better, you know, like a pseudo fillet. All right. Okay. I think that's probably as much as really needs to be done with this right now. The question is, how do I want to leave this in order to have it dry? I think the answer is I should probably stand it up vertically. The other thing I think I want to do too is once the wood glue sets down here, I'm going to try to crazy glue these junctions right here just to add a little bit more strength. The crazy glue, I'm not going to do it yet. There's a decent gap there. It should probably work, but it wouldn't hurt one way or the other. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll do it off camera. And then it looks like we are almost wrapped up with this. The frame is built. There are just some odds and ends that need to be taken care of before this thing is done. So stand back up, and that should pretty much take care of business for now. All right, thanks. Oops. ridiculous. I'm just going to move it out of frame. You can't see it one way or the other with it standing there. Camera's not high enough. All right, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.